Scott Disick will end the relationship between Travis Barker and Kourtney Kardashian to make himself feel more included. Hi, before we continue, please subscribe to the channel for all Kardashians news and update. Scott Disick has been part of the Kardashian story for a very long time, and his history with Kourtney Kardashian is one of the most talked about relationships in reality TV history. Even now, after years have passed since their breakup, there are signs that Scott is still deeply affected by losing her. Some people believe he is not only struggling with heartbreak but might also be hoping that Kourtney's marriage to Travis Barker will eventually fall apart so that he can step back into her life. It is a complicated and emotional situation, and it shows how strong feelings from the past can linger, even when both people have tried to move forward. When Scott and Kourtney first got together, their relationship had moments of real passion and love. There was a time when Kourtney loved Scott so much that she would have done anything for him. She believed in him, gave him multiple chances, and hoped that one day he would rise to meet her standards as a partner. But something always seemed to get in the way, whether it was Scott's struggles with maturity, his issues with fame, or his personal habits that caused harm to their relationship. The truth is, love like theirs cannot survive without mutual effort and respect, and while Kourtney gave endlessly, Scott repeatedly made mistakes that slowly wore away the trust and devotion she once had for him. When Kourtney finally decided to walk away emotionally, Scott suddenly realized how much she meant to him. In typical fashion for someone who had taken love for granted, it was only when she truly let go that he wanted her back. He began to act like he was ready to change, but by then, Kourtney's heart was no longer in the same place. Fans who watched Keeping Up with the Kardashians remember well how their relationship played out on television. For years, their love story, full of ups, downs, breakups, and reconciliations, provided drama for the show. At times, it felt like they might be able to make it work and find their way back to each other permanently. At other times, it was clear that the problems between them were simply too big to overcome. They clearly cared for each other deeply, but the relationship was like a boat with too many holes. No matter how much they patched it, it kept sinking. The turning point came when Kourtney met someone else and fell in love for real in a way that made her see her past with new eyes. Meeting Travis Barker was like opening the door to a new life. She had waited far too long for Scott to change, and she had finally grown tired of waiting. When she began to truly invest in a future with Travis, Scott was left looking on from the outside, aware that the woman he once thought might always be there for him was now loving someone else in a way she used to love him. The look in Scott's eyes sometimes tells the story, a mix of longing, regret, and the haunting knowledge that he let something irreplaceable slip away. To understand how Kourtney reached that point, you have to picture what her love for Scott once looked like. Imagine a perfect summer meadow, full of vibrant flowers and warm sunlight, peaceful, beautiful, full of life. That was her heart when she loved him in the early days. Then imagine that meadow being set on fire, every flower, every patch of grass burning because of betrayal, addiction issues, and lies. That is what Scott's behavior did to the love they had. One moment from the show still lingers in fans' minds. Kourtney, still hopeful, tried to ignore the signs of cheating. She overheard a woman's voice on Scott's phone, and though her heart told her the truth, she tried to believe his excuses. She wasn't ready to walk away yet because the thought of losing him entirely felt like too much to bear. She clung to the hope that he might finally be the man she needed him to be. She forgave him again and again, even though it hurt her. Watching that play out was painful for many fans, because they saw how much she was willing to give for someone who was not giving her the same loyalty in return. In the end, their breakup wasn't clean or sudden, it was like death by 1,000 cuts. Each time Scott betrayed her trust, it took away a little more of her emotional strength until there was nothing left to give. Ironically, this destruction ended up freeing her. When there was nothing left of the relationship to salvage, she could finally imagine a different life for herself, one where she could pursue her dreams without the constant cycle of disappointment. Kourtney realized that staying with Scott would mean settling for a love that didn't match the ideal she carried in her mind. She wanted a partnership based on mutual respect, loyalty, and shared values. With Scott, She always seemed to be hoping for a breakthrough that never came. Eventually, she accepted that it was time to stop hoping and start living for herself. When she left, she didn't waste her time looking back in bitterness. She focused on the future, and that's how she was ready when a new kind of love came along. Still, Scott sometimes appears visibly affected by what happened. There are moments when he seems lost in thought, almost as if he is thinking about the one who got away. Perhaps he replays old memories in his head, wondering what could have been if he had acted differently. He knows, deep down, that Kourtney's decision was the right one for her, but that doesn't make it any easier to accept. Kourtney's choice to walk away was not only necessary but overdue. She gave him more than enough chances, and yet the cycle repeated. One of the most telling signs of his disrespect was the fact that he once stored another woman's number in his phone under the label, wife. That act alone showed that he was not taking their relationship seriously. Someone who truly values a partner would never engage in behavior that so openly disregards their feelings. Over time, Kourtney's strength became clear. She went from someone who forgave endlessly to someone who set boundaries and refused to be treated poorly. Meeting Travis seemed to accelerate that transformation. With him, she found the consistency and commitment she had been missing. Their relationship moved quickly, and by 2022, they were married in a romantic Italian ceremony that symbolized a fresh chapter in her life. For Scott, this marriage was a visible sign that his window of opportunity had closed. Kourtney had moved on completely, blending her life with Travis's and building a future with him. Yet rumors persist that Scott might be hoping for cracks to form in their marriage, thinking that if it ever ends, he could step back in. Whether or not that is true, it speaks to how deep his feelings for Kourtney still run, even after years apart. This entire situation is a powerful reminder of how love can change people, both for better and for worse. Kourtney's love for Scott once made her willing to overlook serious problems, but over time, she learned that love alone isn't enough to make a relationship work. Respect, trust, and consistent effort are equally important. When those are missing, even the strongest emotional connection can wither. Scott, for his part, may always carry some regret. Watching the mother of his children build a happy life with someone else is not easy, especially when he knows that he had every chance to be that person for her but didn't take it. The reality is that once trust is broken repeatedly, it becomes nearly impossible to repair, and that is what ultimately sealed the fate of their relationship. Today, both of them continue to co-parent their children and navigate life in the public eye. But the emotional history they share will likely always be a part of who they are. Over time, Kourtney's strength became clear. Thanks for watching. Please do well to share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more Kardashian updates.